Picture this. Imagine you walk into a doctor's office. You sit down, the doctor glances at you, doesn't ask any questions at all, and says, based on your age and the fact that you came in today, I'm going to recommend this medication. Types it in, maybe pictures a little bit about this medication, slides a prescription across the desk. How would you feel, right? You'd walk out, you'd never come back. Except those that just want to feign a medical certificate, but you never come back if you want legit medical help, right? You might even report him. Why? Because a doctor who prescribes without examining has not done their job. They've just guessed. Okay. Now think about the last B2B sales demo you sat through or ran. How much of it was prescription before examination? How many features were shown before the real problem was understood? Now, we don't call it prescribing without examining in sales, right? We call it pitching. And almost every salesperson was trained to do it, including the best of us. Okay, I just spent a full week training a tech sales team in Asia, and I've got multiple sessions booked across the next few months. And this past one, I spent one whole day on exactly this shift, and the moment this metaphor landed in the room, everything changed. Now, here's how this happened. And it happened, and it didn't happen because salespeople are lazy or bad at their jobs, right? Salespeople are some of the hardest working people out there, okay? It happened because of how the whole industry was architected, okay? Think about what most sales onboarding looks like in a B2B tech company. And I have to stress this, right? So many companies still do not pay enough attention to the onboarding, which is a big question mark for me, because isn't that is actually the fastest way to ramp up deal velocity, right? But never mind, we'll leave it to another topic. But here's what most sales onboarding looks like in a B2B tech company, right? Week 1, learn the product. Week 2, learn the pitch deck. Can we customize the deck? Okay, week 3, schedule some calls, speak to some customers, quickly get out there and talk to customers. You learn best when you talk to customers. Week 4, you're live. At most, maybe there's some boot camp, and boot camps are mainly product, meeting subject matter experts, maybe some process. That's it. What almost is never covered in the onboarding: how to diagnose a customer problem before you open a single slide, right? And then the incentive structure reinforces it. Demos booked, meetings booked, proposals sent, pipeline created. Okay, these are the metrics that gets celebrated. Not how deeply did you understand this buyer situation before you showed them anything. So you get salespeople who are brilliant at presenting. Honestly, I think salespeople are some of the best at presenting in the world for any occupation. Confident on camera, great storytellers. But the moment the buyer goes off script, asks a question the deck doesn't cover, or says, we're not sure we have this problem, we're comfortable with who we currently have, then the rep has no more tools, right? Because they were never trained to diagnose, only to present. At best, to present on product features and solutions. And buyers feel this. They might not say it, but they feel it. They sense that the salesperson isn't really listening. They're listening. They're listening to reply. They're just waiting for their moment to pitch, right? That is what kills trust, or that is what makes you like any other salesperson, any other vendor. Okay, that's what kills deals. All these small things add up, right? It's not only the product, not only the price. It's the feeling of not being seen. It's the feeling of, it's just another salesperson. Okay, so what does it actually mean to diagnose instead of pitch? Okay, it's not just asking more questions. Now that can be annoying, right? Sometimes a lot of salespeople mistake, asking plenty of questions as doing the right thing, but then they still end up pitching way too early because the questions were bad. They didn't really find out anything much, right? Diagnosing really means something more specific. It means you enter the conversation with one goal and only one goal: to understand the gap between where the buyer is today and where they need to be. Let it stick. Okay, not to find the quickest path to showing them your product. Okay, I mean, honestly, if as a salesperson you're just thinking of the quickest path to show them your product, well, depend on the pain point you're solving, but honestly, AI can catch up to that, right? Right? So it's not to find the quickest path to showing them your product, but to find out whether the problem is real, how painful it is, and whether they are ready to solve it. If not now, then when do they want to solve it? Okay, a confident sales pitcher walks into a meeting thinking, how do I show them what we do? Everything is about me. Okay, a diagnostician, someone that diagnoses, someone curious entering the meeting, okay, walks into the same meeting thinking, what do I need them? What do I need to understand? What do I need to understand before I show them anything? Because I don't want to show them the wrong things. I want to make sure context is relevant for them. Okay, It's the same room, same product, completely different outcome, right? Because the buyer in front of the diagnostician feels something the buyer in front of the picture never does. They feel like someone finally gets it, or the buyer would definitely feel like they're talking to someone who actually understands, right? Now, here are 3 concrete shifts that moves you from pitching to diagnosing, and each one changes something real about how you should show up in the room. Shift number 1, change your opening. Most sales calls open with, "Let me tell you a bit about us," and then I'd like to hand over the time to you to hear about what you're about and your current situation. Okay, stop with that. That's like so 2010, right? Flip it completely. Open with, "I've done some research on your company and I have a few questions, a few hypotheses about what you might be dealing with. But I'd rather test those with you, and I'd rather test those with you before we go anywhere else. Help me understand." Okay, that single sentence alone repositions you. You are no longer a vendor presenting. You are a curious practitioner checking the read of a situation. You're checking whether the context is correct. Okay, the buyer's posture will change too, simply because the question is different. This person is a bit different, different opening. Okay, they might start leading it because you just showed up differently than every other rep that week. Okay, shift number 2. Replace feature triggers with impact questions. Okay, a feature trigger is when the buyer mentions a problem and you immediately think of a feature that solves it and you say it. Okay, a cloud security rep right here is, "We're struggling with visibility across our multi-cloud environment," and immediately says, "That's exactly what our unified dashboard solves. This is how we've helped Bank A, Company B resolve." Stop. Don't say that. Not yet, at least. Okay. Instead, return with a question. "Let me understand what's the business impact of that visibility gap you have. Okay, what decisions are you making today without the data you need?" Now, you're not just selling a dashboard, you're uncovering what the dashboard needs to be worth. Which means when you do show it, the buyer already knows why it matters. You can even go deeper in the demo, right? Shift number 3. Earn the prescription. Okay, this is the mindset shift underneath everything else. Okay, before you show a single slide, a single demo, a single case study, okay, ask yourself, have I earned the right to prescribe yet? Have I understood the problem clearly enough that my recommendation will feel tailored, not templated? If the answer is no, you're not ready to pitch. Okay, ask one more question, because a recommendation that lands at the right moment after real diagnosis doesn't feel like a sales pitch. Super refreshing. Okay, it feels like insight. Okay, and buyers don't resist insight, they pay for it. That doctor who prescribed without examining earlier on, the reason we don't trust him isn't because we think he's incompetent. He must have done his MBBS, right? It's because he didn't care enough to find out what was actually wrong. He just thinks, "I just show up and that's it," right? He didn't care enough to find out what was actually wrong. Your buyer feels the same thing when you pitch before you understand. Not that you're bad at sales. Look, you're getting paid to do it, right? Surely you must know how to do it. But that you did not care enough to ask. You are one of those obnoxious, assume-it-all salespeople. Okay, diagnosing before prescribing isn't a technique; it's a signal. It tells every buyer in every room, "I'm here for your problem, not my quota. If we manage to land a fit, that's great, but I'm here for your problem." And that signal alone, more than any feature deck case study, is what makes people want to buy from you. Remember this: people buy from people they trust. So this is how you slowly establish that trust. Okay. Hey, look, this is one of my many videos that I'm doing. If this landed, there's a full series coming from my training weeks with tech sales teams in Asia. Each video is one concept under 10 minutes for B2B salespeople who want to get sharper, not just busier. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.